Hola, boa noite. Carl Munson here with the Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. And it is a great honor and privilege for me tonight and a pleasure, I'm assuming, and I'm sure we'll be right, to have with us some YouTube sensation superstars, expats everywhere. So let's bring them onto the screen now. Talked about you guys last night and people were saying, yes, we watched them. Great to have them on. So good evening and welcome to you. Boa noite. How are you? You're doing well.
Well, Carl, you?
Yeah, very, very well. Delighted to have you here, as I say. People were getting very excited last night about you being here. We will probably get questions from people over in the States, in North America, because that's the time of this show when it goes out. It appeals more to people who are listening on the other side of the Atlantic. And of course, that's your unique perspective as North Americans. Now being in Portugal, but the story begins before that, doesn't it, with expats everywhere. It's a much wider project than that, and you are global travelers before you decided to settle here in Portugal. Could you start, Kalie and Josh, telling us about how this project began and where else in the world you've been?
Yeah, so the project actually started when we were in Saudi Arabia. So over 5 years ago, we were living in Saudi Arabia, and we were, like most people at the time, I'm sure, just kind of scouring the internet, looking through different blogs, trying to find information about other countries. And for me personally, I love to consume information via video. And we were going through the process of trying to move to Singapore, and we were looking up information specifically about them. We weren't really having too much luck. And then we got to a certain point where it was like, we're ready to move. We need to find some jobs. So put our resumes out. And it's like, this is getting so frustrating. I would just pay somebody to do this. And the light bulb kind of went off, and it was like, well, if I would pay, maybe other people would pay. So in the beginning, our YouTube channel was just kind of this side project to business consulting that we did via expatseverywhere.com, where we would get linked up with a customer and essentially provide that service, helping them figure out all of the ins and outs of moving to whatever country they were trying to go to, offering a bespoke service. But after a couple of years of that, we just kind of grew tired of always having to like meet people exactly on their time and having to work with so many different time zones. And we just found that we love video and we love doing the YouTube thing, and we weren't really able to put out as much content as we like because we were having to work our regular jobs and then the other business side of things. And it was like, let's just do this YouTube thing.
Yeah, so the funny thing about living in Saudi is people tend to hobbies because there's just not much to do. So if you live on a compound, you kind of create this hobby. And that's kind of where this started. And we had a lot of friends, so we just started interviewing friends, because I think if you're living in Saudi Arabia as an expat, it's not your first place that you've lived abroad. You've generally lived elsewhere. So we had a lot of friends who had lived in several different places, and we thought, well, let's just ask them about their experiences living in these different countries, because we had traveled a lot, but we had only lived in a few countries before that. So we just decided, well, we'll go ahead and ask them about their experiences, and we'll record it. And, you know, it was shocking at first. Like, we just had our computer faced towards them. We kind of created these like questions, and it's just, if you go back and look like 5 years ago, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then obviously it continued to grow from there. Like we kind of got out of the consult and thought it's way more interesting to connect with people like than it is to, you know, through email or jump on a call and help one specific person with a move. It was just more interesting, the media side of it. And so that's kind of how we morphed Expats Everywhere into what it is now.
Tremendous.
YouTube, baby.
Yeah, YouTube all the way, absolutely. And we're going out live on YouTube tonight, of course. Anyone with questions, do give us a shout. And I mean, I think most people here tonight will have seen your videos, Kalie and Josh. But in case you haven't, Expats Everywhere on YouTube, easy to find. Lauren from North Carolina. We talk Portuguese a little bit here tonight. I don't know how good your Portuguese is at the moment, but Lauren Olabonite from North Carolina. Safira, he's in your town. Say that again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's
I'll get
in
made
Porto.
fun of by trying to speak Portuguese.
Go ahead. I do it all the time. I suffer that. Eduardo Santos in Brazil, I believe, tonight. Eric J over in the States. Hola, boa noite a todos. Steve Merwin from Minneapolis. Hey, Steve. Good evening to you. Rifat Saifi, good night and best wishes for you all from Portugal, says Rifat. Sandra, look. Hey, Kalie and Josh. Carl, thanks for having these super informative YouTubers. They are making my journey to Portugal easy and fun. They're with us tonight, Sandra. You can ask them questions directly. Evening from Rizinho, our own little village in Florida, in Chile, Florida, tonight. Amazing. Thank you to you all. Do get questions coming in. Boa noite. That's when you get to be an old Portuguese person. Some of the old folks say boa noite. I've noticed. So that's from Will. He's not actually old, and he's in the house tonight as well. So the whole project, in terms of expats everywhere, goes back about 5 years. Yeah.
It like Kalie said, it really, in terms of the YouTube side, it really started out with us using our Macs and turning it around, and the camera facing the person that we were interviewing, and we were sitting behind, and really just getting inspired by their story of where they were living, and sure that the questions that we asked were a set list of questions. So any of our subscribers or people that followed us would always have an expectation to get these things answered. And I think that we're probably going to fill up that list a bit, but it's really the questions that anytime you'd go onto a blog, you would get answered and that you would want answered. So that was kind of the idea, was to start asking questions and get expat experience all over the world, which really kind of gave the name to Expats Everywhere. We're dealing with expats literally everywhere all over the globe. So now that we've niched into Portugal, it's a little funny, but we still love just the global aspect of what it is to be an expat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and an incredible resource that you've created there on YouTube for people looking all over the world for places to go and to find out what it's like from somebody who actually lives and works there. But the big question, obviously, tonight on the Portugal show is why Portugal? How did that happen? How did you niche yourselves here?
So that's a great question. Do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So when we started our journey back in 2009, our first place was Madrid, Spain. And at that time, we were still just dating. So I was an au pair there, and I lived with the family I worked for. And Josh was getting his master's and working at a school. So we obviously did a lot of traveling. I had just graduated from college, and so we traveled a lot. And we came to Portugal several times. We actually really liked it, and we visited several. And we just fell in love with Porto. So we normally don't like to circle back to the same cities of places, but Porto was one of those places that was very easy for us to just go back to over and over. And even when we had like longer times, like one time we spent like almost 3 weeks here just because we had a good long time. And normally we don't like to do that either. We like to bop around. So we go into a country and we're on the go, seeing as much as we can. But Porto was just different for us. So we said one day we'll live here. And 10 years?
Yeah.
Over 10 years later, we're finally here.
We're really blessed that things have become more digital, because, before that, I think it was just going to be too hard for us to, figure out a way to get a visa. We weren't anywhere near retirement age. We didn't have anywhere near the investments that we do now that would allow us to qualify for this. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, yeah, the whole tide of technology. So many of us have risen with that, and it's obviously been an amazing thing to attenuate and mediate the worst effects of the pandemic. And yeah, I mean, in such a terrible year in a way, you've actually had quite a good year, haven't you?
An amazing year.
Yeah. So it's funny, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. You see so many people that are like, 2020 is the worst. I can't wait for it to be over, blah, blah, blah. Because our daughter was born at the beginning of 2020. So that was obviously a big thing. So 2020 for us isn't so bad. And then getting to Portugal, I mean, it was quite delayed getting here. We wanted to be here a while ago, but finally getting here.
At 10K on YouTube, I mean, I know it sounds a bit silly, but like it was a legit goal of mine to get the subscriber base to that size. Cause I think like once you're at that size, there's a little more, you have a little more clout within YouTube itself. And obviously we can't really take advantage of that right now because of the pandemic. They don't really, it's more difficult to get into their YouTube spaces. But I felt like, you know, it was maybe 2 or 2.5 years, I was writing in this little goals diary every day. You know, I have a YouTube channel with 10K. I mean, it's a long process, but yeah, it's 2020. We hit 10K. You know, what can I say?
Good for you, and congratulations on the birth of your daughter in this year as well, Sia, who appears in many of your videos, and we'll come back to those, of course, and a few of the journeys you've had, including eating far too many pastel de nata recently. But you said
I did not feel well.
Above and beyond the Call of Duty, I think, in terms of Portuguese culture there. Check that one out, everybody. The marathon pastel de nata.
Someone commented on how they thought it was funny that even though we were giving like 1s and 2s for some of these, we were still stuffing them in our mouth. And I was like, well, you know, you don't want to go to waste. So yeah, you see us like the last one, I was like, it's a 1, and I still stuff it in.
But I'll finish it anyway. Fantastic. Okay, so Porto 10 years ago obviously made an impression on you. It's the city that's behind me on my visual behind me, and you, of course, you've got some Porto pictures, I believe, behind you there. But it's not the only place. Is that Porto? Is that Brooklyn Bridge?
New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
No,
okay. I'm sorry.
This is a New York apartment. Apparently, it's not our artwork.
No, it's not ours.
Oh, I see. That's a kind of strange cultural twist, then, isn't it? Americans coming to Portugal to live in Porto to have the art of New York behind them.
It's very strange. We feel the same way.
We thought it was fun when we got here and we saw the difference.
So yeah, on that point, where are you guys from originally in the States?
I'm from Virginia, from a small town of 23,000 people called Bristol.
And I was born in Arizona, but when I was young, we
Oh, sorry, you dropped out a little bit there. You were originally from Arizona?
Yes, I'm from Arizona, and then when I was young, we moved to Florida, and I grew up just outside of Tampa. Someone had said it was chilly in Florida, and actually my dad was talking to me today, and he said, it's cold here. And I was like, what's cold? But apparently it is kind of cold for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That was Ree. Let's say hello to a few more people. Ken, who's just arrived, second night in Portugal, who will take a look at your channel for sure. What's the next goal, Josh? You said 10K. Is the next one 100K?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say make it as big as possible, but really it's about helping as many people as possible. So along the way, as we grow, we know that we're going to be able to reach more people and help more people. I think beyond just Portugal, but getting everywhere or anywhere they want to go, allowing people to realize like they can dream big dreams about living different places and make it a reality.
Yeah, amazing. A laugh from Maryland tonight. I've watched and enjoyed all your Portugal videos. So I think need some sort of badge or T-shirt for that.
Thanks,
greetings from Texas, from Xander. That's Pincho, everybody. We'll get an intro to Pincho in just a minute, I think. Boa noite, traditional Portuguese greeting. You would have another subscriber from Ree, but she already follows you. What it is to be an expat. I feel you guys 43 countries and counting, says Will. That's amazing. I'm hearing a West Coast accent, California. Not quite, Will. No. Porto, definitely on my short list. Hoping to visit in 2021, says Eric, and make the move in 2022 if the stars align. Lisbon and Coimbra also in the running. And I know that Kalie and Josh will have something to say about Lisbon in our conversation tonight. Tampa's nice. Fort Lauderdale, had to ask for my wife's hand in marriage. Oh, excellent story from, I didn't know about that, Will. Just outside of Tampa in Brooksville, grew up in Tampa. Yeah. It's why we're considering Portugal, not a snow gal. And a further question from Steve. How does the perception of what you thought your life would be like in Porto line up with your reality today? Surprises, advice, what a fantastic question. So let's go straight into that. You might want to generalize that about Portugal as well. So the dream versus reality, Kalie and Josh.
You want to answer that?
Yeah, I can start with that. Yeah. So I would say the biggest difference is now we have a daughter, a child. So when we would come, we would always go and visit a lot of the port wine places down by the river. And so our lifestyle was different. So I think if we didn't have her, then we might enjoy that a little more. Obviously, I wouldn't change the fact that we have her. I like our lifestyle, and we're down right in the center, and she's a trooper. She loves just sitting in her stroller and going. So that is obviously a little different, and we're older as well. So you just change how you do things.
Sorry for all the dog noises, guys.
I don't know if you can see.
Josh, the dog's drinking water.
Honestly, Josh is saying it's the dog. Can you confirm that, Kalie?
In a minute.
I cannot confirm nor deny it's the dog.
Yeah, he likes to steal the show. He does what he wants. But yeah, so I would say that there's obviously differences there, but they're good differences. And the place that we are in our lives right now, I really like it. So for me, the location that we are, just kind of being down in the center of everything, I really love. We like bigger cities and stuff just right at our doorsteps. So I think that some has changed, obviously, because we have a daughter and we're older, but nothing too crazy. What do you think?
So I would say a couple of things are at work. One, COVID makes this place different. I mean, I think it's made everywhere different, but COVID has definitely changed kind of the interactions that you would have. And I think there's probably less people around than normal because of it. Definitely less people in restaurants, which has been surprising. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising, but that's a huge difference. Before we would go into a restaurant 10 years ago and it'd be packed, right? But now it's like there might be one or two tables and everybody's trying to sit outside no matter what the temperature is.
Yeah, but that kind of works in our favor because we've got the big strollers. The fact that the tables are quite spread apart, we've got plenty of room for her to just roll right up and sit next to us. So that kind of works in our favor.
And the second thing that has been a big difference is the amount of I don't know how to say this, but the amount of people of color that are here compared to 10 years ago, which is a great thing. So we got a question asked of us like maybe over a year ago, maybe 10 months ago, about, what's the difference between Spain and Portugal when it comes to people of color or the Black experience there. And obviously it's difficult for us to answer, but they were basically asking like, are people cool with people of color, it being, European or Caucasian or whatever. And, we feel like that it's better in Portugal than in Spain from our experience. But also when we were here, we didn't really see that many people of color, whether they be Asian or African or African American or whatever. But now we're noticing a lot more, and it just feels a bit more like the US again, which is great. Like it seems a bit more normal. To give you an example, when we lived in Singapore, or South Korea, we would go in South Korea maybe a week without seeing someone that was, dark skinned. And that's just weird for us. It's really weird. It's you see a few white people and then the rest are Koreans, and that was really strange for us. But so I thought that we were going to have a bit of that when we moved here again, but then going out on the streets and whatnot, people, I'm assuming a lot are brilliant. I don't know, but it's great.
And I think a video that we just did where we talked about 4 things we would do differently or we would change. We talked a little bit about this. And it was, I don't remember this when we were here last time, but the homelessness, it's like there are career homeless people in a sense, like they choose to be like this. And there just seems to be a lot in our area that are asking for money. Or just people who ask for money who like, they're just asking for money. Like, I don't know.
They've got schemes.
So I don't remember that too much from when we were here a while back.
But it's all good. It's a city.
Yeah, indeed.
That's part and parcel of living in a city. Any city, really. Apart from Singapore.
Yeah, I think you're right. Apart from Singapore, yeah, you can't do that or put chewing gum on the street. It's a very different world. I think you had 3 things, Josh. Did you have a third to share?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Those were the 2 main things for me. Yeah, those are the 2. I can come up with a third if you need me to.
Oh, no, I'm sure it'll come. I'm sure it'll come naturally. So yes, but you were saying you missed the football. You say
live football. Yeah, I would love to go to Stadio do Dragão to catch a match.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But yeah.
And
I think
he's meaning soccer.
Yeah, sorry, soccer.
You threw me there. I thought, I thought was I going to need to translate there? But I get it. I mean, football, soccer, as you would call it, is just such an essential part of Portuguese culture, isn't it? I was in a taxi once, and the driver said, Portugal is about the 3 Fs: football, fado, and Fatima. And definitely, football's in there. And if you turn on the TV, you've got 6 channels of free TV just talking about football all day long and playing old matches and stuff. It is incredible. And that will be an amazing moment when you can go to a football match again. So you guys clearly love Porto. That's where you live now. But I think you have other experience of Portugal. Yeah, you also lived in the capital?
No, we just traveled there. So maybe you're referencing a video we did about Lisbon.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that video we produced as a part of a series that we ran for 2020 on our channel. And it was an audience like a democratic type of process whereby we started out at the beginning of the year with the letter A, and we had 5 different cities that we asked our audience to choose from. What do you guys want us to talk about? What city guide do you want us to create? So we gave ourselves 5 days for voting to happen, and then another week to source the information, put it together, breaking it down on how to move there, how to live there, and how to work there. And Lisbon was the winner for L. And honestly, that video kind of really lit up that series big time. And we didn't know, I don't think at the time we knew we were moving to Portugal. We were trying, but
we hadn't, it wasn't final. But that series is kind of funny because it confuses a lot of people. We will get people like, wait, how do you live in Porto, but you live here? And we're like, no, people vote on these cities, and we source that information, and then we put out like a city guide about those cities. So we just finished Warsaw was our last one, and we're working on
tomorrow.
Jalapa.
Starts with an X.
Starts with an X. Yeah. See, that was a tough one. That was a tough one, trying to find cities that start with an X.
Mexico.
It is where
Jalapa de Enriquez.
It is where.
Oh, fun fact.
Yes, fun fact.
Fun fact.
It is where the jalapeno pepper comes from.
Yes.
We will never forget that now. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's always good to squirrel away that knowledge of that kind. So you are it's Porto through and through for you then.
Yeah. We've been to Lisbon. Lisbon had a different feeling for us. It felt a little too cosmopolitan.
Okay.
Even then, it was getting touristy and expat-y in a way. I don't mean that in a negative term, but
that does sound negative. I
don't mean it in a negative term, but I think it was a popular destination for people to retire to at that point. So the vibe was just different. And I mean, the vibe is different because it's a beach. And I know I say that coming from Florida, but I really like how Porto has the beach and the river because it just creates these different vibes in the different neighborhoods.
Yes.
So I think that you get a little bit of you get more in Porto than you do in Lisbon.
But I found the people in Lisbon compared to the people in Porto to be quite different in terms of the people in Lisbon were very cosmopolitan in feeling and nature, almost like the big cities that you find in the US, whereby maybe you need help with something, but they're in too much of a hurry to stop and help. And in Porto, we never found that. I was walking just 2 weeks ago. I was walking down the street. We were going to a friend's house, and I'm on the phone. What was I looking up? I was on the phone looking up something.
Her address, because it was our first time going to her place, and so he had my phone, which had the address, but he was also trying to do some business stuff back in the States. So he had his phone. So he's walking with two
phones here. I'm just like,
I'm just pushing the baby, tell me where to go.
And this guy pops out of a cafe or bar or whatever. And he starts speaking to me in Portuguese, older man. And he says the name of a road. He says, Rua Boa Vista. And I'm like, okay. And I think he's asking me for directions because I've got my phone out, my map pulled up. So here I am like, dude, I'm going to try to help you. I'm like, okay, look. And I find Rua Boa Vista. And then he's like, now, Rua Boa Vista. And he points at the sign and he's like, that's the road that you're on, dummy. And I'm like, I don't need directions. You know what I mean? Like, I know it was a funny one.
We were almost there, and I knew that he knew where we were going, so I'm stopped and I'm like, why is he talking to this guy for so long?
I thought he was asking me for help.
Just tell me know where we're going. I mean, so Josh is trying to give this guy directions. Anyway,
I'm friendly.
Human sat nav, so people will help you and help you locate you as human sat nav. But there's also the human CCTV, which is all the old nonnas and grandmas looking out the window all day long as well, right? Just to make sure everything's okay.
We saw a brilliant one earlier today on a balcony. I mean, this lady was she was people watching. I mean, next level people watching. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was one of those it was a little scary.
Yeah.
It was kind of like it kind of reminded me of when we were back in the States last year, and it was Halloween time. Where we were in this little neighborhood, people loved decorating for any holiday. So it was like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween. They all had like this yard stuff. Well, some weird people had this like person standing on a balcony. Like it was like a fake person with like a Jason mask, like, so it was like a scary, like there's a person standing there.
This lady was not wearing a Jason mask.
No, she wasn't, but that's what it reminded me of. It was like the exact same thing. This lady just standing, looking at people on this balcony was the same as that weird Halloween decoration.
She might have been left out. You know how sometimes Christmas decorations don't get cleared away. She might have been left out since Halloween. You just never know, do you? We have a question from Ree, and this is a very Portuguese thing. Okay, I have to know about the washer and dryer status over there. I hear that most people hang dry clothes. Don't want to do that, Ree. You might have to get with the program. Have you guys got into that habit?
Well, hey, I mean, I say if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Take your stuff to a laundromat and throw it in a dryer. I mean, that's your solution there. We actually don't have a washing machine here at the apartment because we don't have foresight to look for that on the amenities list.
I thought it was in here. I thought I saw the picture had it.
You thought,
it was the fridge.
Yeah. The fridge is that small. It looks like a washing machine. But no, like we end up going to a laundromat every 12 to 15 days. And
it's not actually something that's new to us though, any of this. So if you go all the way back to Spain, so in my opinion, the washer dryer combo that's in one, the dryer is always really bad.
It's shocking.
It's like, the temperature is never right. So it's really, really hot and it's really bad for your clothes. So if you're doing like sheets or towels or something, then it's okay. But if you're trying to do your clothes on there, it's really bad. So even in Spain, we would wash our clothes and we would hang them over. And then in Korea, it was okay. Saudi Arabia, we didn't have the unit we lived on a compound. We didn't have the unit in our apartment. So we had to go down to the center area, which was closer than it is now. And then in Singapore, the same thing. We had the combo where it's that washer dryer. And so I never used the dryer because especially in Singapore, it would get so hot. Like the dryer would just be running and it was really, really hot in the apartment. So we're kind of used to hanging the clothes. We don't actually hang the clothes much here. I do have a hanger for anything I might need to like hand wash and just let it air dry, but then that ends up being washed anyway because the humidity. So even when you hand wash it and let it dry, sometimes it won't dry well and then it has a bit of a scent. Obviously, this is more of a question for me because Josh doesn't know any about this, hand washing stuff.
Thanks, Josh, for stepping aside for a moment there. For the answer.
I'll just sit back here.
Yeah.
Josh, you did mention laundromats, and that's a really good cultural experience, isn't it? Because you can go there, get your washing on, and we've done this as well. Before we were in the current place that we're at with the washing machine, We used to go to the laundromat, and I got it down to a fine art. You put the wash on, and then you go to the cafe next door. Don't you? You watch the football, have a coffee, have a toast de mista, something like that. Come back, and often Portuguese people so helpful. They've already moved your stuff for you into the dryer, and you just put the money in, and then you close it up, and you go and have another coffee or something like that. And it's part of life. It's not a miserable experience at all, is it?
Okay, well, that hasn't happened to us yet, where we've moved it. That's like college.
Yeah.
When you forget it and it's been sitting there for 4 hours, you go back and it starts sitting on top of the
college roommates too.
Yeah.
Should we say a story about them?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's interesting that you mentioned this about the interactions that you can have at laundromats, because if your viewers have seen our video about how we got the NIF, it was through a guy that we met at the laundromat. Ben came through big for us. Yeah. So this guy, Ben, was watching Kalie fumble around with the machine because it was the first time she was trying to load it with soap or some nonsense.
He wasn't watching me. He wasn't even there. He was on the other side.
I was there.
He was on the other side. So what happened was I was loading it, and I didn't realize, because when you're in college or any other place that we've been, when you load the washing machine, you put your detergent in. Well, here the detergent is preloaded. Which that's new to me. So I was looking for a place to put the detergent in, and I didn't see it. And he was back there. He had his headphones in. It looked like he was working on his iPad. And so I just kind of said, "Excuse me," because I was like, I can't wash the clothes without detergent. And he was like, "Oh, that's weird. I've never been in the laundromat that doesn't offer the detergent." And I was like, "I've never been in one that does." So then. He's like, I think it's in there. And I was like, I hope so, because I'm washing my clothes without anything.
Yeah.
So
true. You meet the right people.
No, yeah. We befriended the guy, and the next time we met up them, because we were like, we're cool, you're cool, we should exchange numbers. This is how adults do this. I don't know. It felt like dating. But no, we exchanged numbers with the guy, and we met him for coffee. And that's when he was like, "You know what? I recognize you guys. I've been planning a trip to Sweden, and I just saw one of your videos." He's like, "I saw it." No, actually, he's like, "I saw it a while back." And he's like, "Now I'm putting two and two together. Like, you're the same people." And I'm like,
"Oh yeah, whatever, Josh." Oh no, Josh.
I gave him a hug.
Yeah,
bro. And then I remember. And I did.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so he became a friend of ours, and then that ended up, once we started kind of continuing the DIY thing with trying to get stuff done, since you can't just walk into the office anymore, and we needed this rep. We were just like, "Hey, want to help us out?" And he's like, "Sure, why not?"
Yeah, super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yep. Marty B is saying, "Well, cheers to you both. I'm so eager to visit Porto, trying to get over to Portugal." Marty P, we are keeping our fingers and everything else crossed here for you. Ree has another question for you. So I think she will have to hang her laundry from the balcony or go to the laundromat. That's the way it's going to roll for you here, and Ree. Would you recommend doing public transport versus getting a car? So what do you make of that, you two?
I think it depends. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish. So,
and where you are.
Where you are, yeah. It depends on what your task is. Personally, and this happened for probably the first, apart from the first day we were here, when we took a car, for about the first 2-3 weeks, all we did was walk. Mm-hmm. That's all we did. We didn't take public transportation at all. We would look and see, okay, what distance are we going? Is it under an hour walk? Let's just walk. Let's see the city. Let's see kind of how to navigate everything and just kind of become a little more intimate with where we're living. Because if you go down underground or take a train, whatever it is, you kind of lose that contact and that awareness of space and where the metro stations are and everything. So I would recommend, if you're able-bodied and you can walk around, at least for the first week or so that you're in Lisbon or Porto, walk. But then after that,
we are public transportation people.
We are. It's better.
somewhere.
Yeah, it's better to get around like in a more efficient way, and it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah, a lot of it's just easier too. You don't have to deal with buying a car, getting the insurance, making sure your driver's license is in whatever country that you're in, finding a parking spot for where you live, parking wherever you're going, paying for parking.
But I'm reading getting a car like calling an Uber.
Oh.
Right?
No, I think that is owning a car. Buying
a car? Oh.
Yeah, buying.
Yeah, don't do that.
If
you're in Porto or Lisbon, don't do that.
But I will say that there are a lot of expats that do, because I'm in an expat moms group, and it actually surprises me how many of them have cars, at least like one car for the family. And some of it is because the husband will drive to work, which again seems a bit silly with the way that, especially in Porto and Lisbon, is just so well connected by public transportation. But some people don't want that, and it can be faster, and you don't have to rely on public transportation if you have your own car. So a lot of it is preference as well. Our preference has just always been to do public transportation.
I hate driving.
Perfect.
Josh doesn't drive. And you'll see that actually if you look at our moving to Portugal, like that whole playlist, when we're driving, it's always me. I always drive everywhere. I like driving. I don't know about like city driving though, like just because, it's start, stop, and then there's bikes and people and lights and ambulances, which is around here a lot. So that's kind of, to me, annoying. I would rather either just walk if it's walkable, or jump on a bus or something and just enjoy myself on the way to where we're going.
Yeah.
So for short distances especially.
Great answer. And I think you're right. Lisbon and Porto, both well served with public transport and very good value as well, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Ree says, thank you for that with the transportation versus getting a car thing. So glad you brought up the issue of colour. So sick of racism in the US, says Ree. And Steve agrees, appreciate your response and glad to hear about the diversity in Porto. I'm not sure how and if we can help with this, AJ Maguire, but we watch your YouTube channel. Apparently, San Francisco consulate is requiring different things to the DC consulate, and now you have to have your NIF bank account to even get your visa. Also, they aren't letting you use Airbnbs for your 6 months. Now, I think you need a longer lease than an Airbnb will generally allow. Do you have anything to add to that, Kalie or Josh?
So I'll just jump in if you need to. So yes, they are different. So when we applied, we did through the DC one, and San Francisco wasn't even open, and hasn't been open for quite a while, actually. Well, it was closed for quite a while, even after the DC one. So when we applied, you didn't have to have your NIFs or bank accounts, but now it's changed even for San Francisco and DC. To obtain your D7 visa now, you have to actually have this stuff, the NIF and the bank account.
And bank account with money deposited in it.
Yes. So we have to have that when we go to our SEF appointment, which isn't scheduled until January. So all of that for us, it was like when you get there, you get to do this stuff. But now you have to do it before. And before COVID, a lot of people would actually come to Portugal and set it up beforehand anyway, before getting the visa. But when we went, like because of COVID and they just weren't sure what to do because Americans couldn't travel to Portugal to set it up. So they said, well, just write a letter saying that when you get to Portugal, you'll set it up. So that's what we did. And that was sufficient. But I think that window was probably a very short window, and they decided to change it. So now, yes, they are requiring that. The Airbnb thing as well. When we went, they told us anything for 6 months. So it could be a hotel, an Airbnb, or a short-term rental, anything for 6 months. Now, obviously, if you see our videos, you'll find out that when we get here, to obtain the D7 visa, you had to have something for at least 6 months. But SEF is now wanting you to have something that's at least 12 months. So the long-term contract. So there is that like tricky thing that we're trying to work out. So generally we recommend to people to just go ahead and do the 12-month. But, and I mentioned this in one of our videos, was saying now because it's harder, there are a lot of landlords that are looking for people. It's easier now to negotiate your contract. So when you do find this 12-month contract, get a clause in there that says after 2 or 3 months, I can get out of this contract, financial implications. And a lot of landlords are still going to take it because they're at least getting a couple of in there for a couple of months, and then that doesn't lock you in for 12 months. So that's what we're recommending to people to get into your contract.
Fantastic. That's brilliant.
I can't add anything to that.
All right, superb. Regarding homelessness, we're jumping around in the conversation a bit, but you mentioned this earlier on. Last year, Porto hosted the International Harm Reduction Conference. Portugal is really starting to make some great strides in that regard. And I think, is known for that internationally. So thanks for that, Xander. Great question for you two now from Sandra.
It's doing well.
Your favorite restaurant in Porto, guys?
That is tough. There's so many good ones because you can get anything from traditional Portuguese, or you can get burgers or pizza or, anything really. So
I don't know if I have a favorite. Not yet.
Yeah.
I have a favorite. I have a favorite nata place, Pastel de Nata.
You do now.
Featured in our video. Actually, no, it wasn't.
No, I didn't talk about it in the latest video.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So Josh,
no, I've actually mentioned it in the comment section of a video when, not this past video, but for some reason the conversation turned to typical Portuguese foods, even though the video wasn't about Portuguese foods. And then I just started commenting back about, someone asked me if I had, pastéis de natas, and I said, yes, the one that I mentioned that I prefer is actually this one called, I don't even know how to say it right, Mantequilla or something like that. Mantequilla, I don't know.
Mantequilla, maybe
that's it. Yeah. So the other one was Castro that we ate at, but I prefer Manteiga. So
we really like them, and Josh is always popping in, grabbing them. So I think that's probably where the idea came up, for eating them, because we like to eat them. And then we just noticed there were a bunch on Rua de Santa Cristina, obviously. Catarina, sorry. And so that's where the idea came. But right now, since we just did that video, I'm like, I told Josh.
She doesn't want to look at it.
I told Josh, I said, don't pop into a shop and grab one for me for a while. I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Yeah, we would make a habit of at least once or twice a week. We'd just be strolling with the baby, and we would walk by, a different shop and be like, they have pastels. I'm going to pop in. You want one? And that would be it. I'd have euro in my pocket, and I would just go grab 2 pastels. Because
they are very different. So it's good to try a bunch. But I will say, going back to Sandra's question, I don't know if there's exactly a specific restaurant I like, but I do like that a lot of them offer outdoor seating when the weather's really good, and you can get like a charcuterie board with a drink. I like wine. So I think that's one of my favorite things to do. And a lot of the little like cafe places offer that as an option.
Yeah.
That's something I like.
The snacks, absolutely. So on that matter then, so maybe it's easy to say what your favorite foods are rather than your favorite restaurant. Have you tried the legendary Francesina yet?
Of course.
Well, that's the thing, because when we traveled here 10 years ago, we tried to eat them all. We were trying, because that's what you do, especially a tourist, is you go to a place and you kind of do the touristy things. So it was like, no, when we're going to get back to Porto, let's try all of the Francesinas. Since we've been here, I think we've had 2 in 5 weeks, which that's pretty good.
I've gotten it more than you have.
Yeah,
I like them.
They're good. I mean, there's some that are suboptimal, but
a little tease on that.
Can we describe it for people? There's no way of knowing from the name, is there? Because I think a literal translation means like little Frenchy or little French girl.
Frenchy,
yeah. So what is it? Could you as you're obviously far more expert in this matter than I am. Could you describe that culinary experience and those layers?
Well, they have. Yeah, they actually have bits of French people chopped up in there. It's just
okay. That's not even a funny joke.
No, so essentially, it's an amazing sandwich or twist on the croque monsieur. From what we know, an expat, I guess a Portuguese expat to France, tried the croque monsieur, came back to Portugal and said, we're just gonna make this all Portified. and they put together a sandwich that has beef in it. There's a bit of, I guess, like lunch meat, ham. It's covered in cheese, which is melted. And the cheese is important. The cheese and the sauce, those two things. After the cheese is the sauce.
And an egg.
This typical, you can get it without egg though.
I like it with an egg.
I like egg as well. But it has this special kind of orangey sauce. I believe the sauce is made with beer, so you know it's going to be a little better with beer, being a beer sauce. So the cheese and the sauce are super important. I think that the sauces vary from place to place. They have their own special recipes. And in some places use cheap cheese. And I'm not a fan of that. It doesn't melt right. It's a little plasticky. I like nice stringy cheese. Being able to dip the fries in the sauce.
Oh yeah, and then it comes with fries.
And then an egg that is like medium or over easy, where the yolk is runny. Oh,
it's a good one. But it's just like the pastels; they're different. So, so we, you know, because they are different. Yeah, because they are different, we are going to do a food challenge on that one at some point. I've
got to go run before we do that one.
That's going to be a hard one because they're so thick and heavy. Yes. So we're trying to navigate how to do that one without actually throwing up afterwards.
Yes,
I look forward to that. Apart from that bit, and yes, we should say I found it hilarious, Josh. But there are no French people contained in any francesinhas anywhere in Porto.
No French people were harmed in the making of a francesinha.
Okay,
but the tie with the French is, from what we know, is the play on the croque monsieur from a Portuguese expat.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. I'm glad we cleared that up. Does your D7 visa allow a path to permanent residency and citizenship? Are you allowed to work in Portugal or only do remote work that isn't an in-country Portugal-based job? It asks MB.
Yeah, I can answer that one. So the D7 does allow for permanent residency. You'll arrive here on the D7 visa. You'll have an appointment with SEF. It's a long-term visa, so you're asking permission to stay for longer than a year. You'll have a couple probationary periods, and then once you get to 5 years, I believe, then that's kind of pathway to citizenship, depending on your situation, I guess financially, and how you've behaved in the country. As far as are we allowed to work in Portugal? Yes, but we're not allowed to take a Portuguese job. We're not allowed to take a job away from the local economy. We are able to keep our digital jobs and make money from outside of Portugal.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Thanks for clearing that. That's fantastic. It's Sia's away.
Yeah. It's because we're too loud, Carl. See, I told you before.
I'm so sorry. We were laughing, weren't we? We were laughing about French people in Francesinha. We've got Josh. This Pincho.
Okay, so I will hopefully be back.
I'm gonna get scolded that comment off camera.
I thought it was funny, Josh. I thought it was funny, I have to say. This is the first time this has happened to me. I switched on the super set, and here we go. $5 Marty P. You're the first person to do that, and you're so welcome to do so. You're Pincho thrown in the air in celebration. That's fantastic. I'm
not going to spike him.
Was it easy, says Eric, for you to find the place you're living? I'll be likely looking for a nice furnished apartment. How easy was that to find a nice place like you've got there, Josh?
So it wasn't bad at all. We have some familiarity with Idealista.pt, because when we were in Spain, that was really the main site that people use to find places. So we jumped on there and we found a couple of companies that did a lot of short, medium, and long-term rentals. And we came across this one company called Living, and that's Liiving, Living. They have quite a few properties here in Porto, I think some in Lisbon as well. And we basically just set our search parameters on on Idealista, and we were, looking for specific things within the apartment. We needed to make sure that they took a dog as well. So we had to write specific owners about that to make sure that they accepted pets. But it really wasn't that difficult at all. I think that we're probably paying a little too much, maybe by 50 to 100 euros, especially now with the market being a bit down because of COVID. And when we arrived, COVID cases were going down and things were looking good. And it seemed like the economy and everything and tourism and whatnot was going to reopen. And then maybe a week or so after we arrived, that's kind of when the second wave started to hit. And it's really, really hurt the housing market.
Yeah. And it helps to have a Ben, doesn't it? Or a Portuguese BFF to do that negotiation and save you that 50 to 100 euros a month, I think, as well.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't really in a position to negotiate at the time, but
fair enough. Yeah.
Now we know. Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
We're comfortable with what we pay.
Yeah, of course. And everyone else gets the benefit who watches your videos now. And you've made those mistakes on other people's behalves, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Xander making the eco point here. Yeah, not having a dryer. She hangs everything up on the balcony thing. The scary lady.
I know this guy.
Oh, really? Raul says, I think I can think of another scary person standing on a balcony. He will soon be out of a job. Never far away. If you had to pick 3 favorite neighborhoods in Porto, this is a great question from Marty P. Yeah, which would they be? What are your favorite neighborhoods so far, Josh, in Porto?
Definitely the one that we live in right now. I mean, I would have said that before, but Palau is a great neighborhood. I have really enjoyed taking trips over to Bonfim. We've been over there a few times because we have a friend that works over there. So sometimes we go visit her for coffee or lunch during the day. Then the other one would be kind of maybe Boa Vista, up near Casa de Musica and that area. Yeah, that's pretty nice. Marquez is also nice too, but
yeah, I guess it's going to be more than 3 ultimately, isn't it? But that's a great start. Thank you very much for that. Will's not happy about dryers or irons for that matter. Who irons clothes anymore? He asks. Ree's not going to be buying a car from what you say. And parking in Porto is hell, says a Porto man here who lives out in Matosinhos way. Unless you know the destination you're heading to and no parking lots, it's hard. I personally now use the metro. There's a Portuguese Porto man speaking there. Marty P, thankful to hear of the diversity, racism, one of the major reasons I'm looking to leave the USA. Hey, Victoria's here as well with her big question here, hiding us both for a moment, Josh. Hey, guys, so great to see you live on Expats Portugal. Please send, Josh, if you could send Victoria's best wishes to Kalie. I followed your journey to Portugal, and I'm wondering how you are navigating the 6-month lease requirement for the D7 visa. And then once you get to Portugal, Seth wants a 12-month lease. Are you able to extend the place where you are? This is a catch-22 for me that I'm trying to figure out. Any advice is appreciated. Oh, I think you covered this before. Basically, you're saying go for 12, right?
Yeah, go for 12. But I think I know what she's asking. And yes, we're working with Living Now to get this resolved. They're actually working with their legal team to figure that out. People that understand what SCF are looking for. But ultimately, the easiest thing to do is just go ahead and sign a 12-month contract and try to get included in there a break clause after 3 months or 6 months or whatever. That would be the best thing. That would be optimal.
Okay, so break clauses are possible, Victoria. They're good advice. Thanks, Josh. Steve is asking, hi, Steve. How was your regular grocery shopping experience? How's that been so far, Josh? It's enjoyable, isn't it, in Portugal?
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I think obviously things are different with COVID, but because of limitations on the number of people that can be there. But I tell you what, when I get to the till and the prices are pretty low, I love that. I mean, if Steve is writing in from the US, I mean, he's got to know that the prices that you get when you're in the States for a week's worth of groceries, it's high. But in Portugal, generally we rock up after, getting a week's worth of groceries, and it's 65 euro for the 3 of us. I think that's pretty good. Personally, I think it's pretty good. We're going to shoot an episode or a vlog on the grocery experience. So be on the lookout for that, Steve.
Oh, that's terrific. Okay, a serious question, then we'll go to some lighter-hearted ones for the last few minutes. I read somewhere that if you had a Schengen visa in the past, that you didn't have to submit all the security clearance documents, i.e. FBI. I mean, this is terrifying, all the stuff you Americans have to do, but FBI, Portuguese police check, can't remember which. I was resident in the Netherlands 2018 to 2019, planning to move to Portugal soon. Does this ring a bell? It's got to be worth asking SEF about that, I would have thought, with your Schengen familiarity, I would have thought. Doreen, does that make any sense to you there, Josh?
Yeah, I think that one's going to be a question that she'll need to ask SEF or ask the consulate. And the reason I say that is because if she's an American, she's already going to be allowed to come to Portugal for tourism. But right now, what we've noticed, when we got to the airport, they were looking for a residence visa. So I don't think that they would have accepted a Schengen visa to allow us to take that flight, because they're not allowing any tourism. So I think just the Schengen visa, which signals tourism, might not be sufficient.
Okay, that's helpful. That's brilliant. Thank you. More information coming in about the Francesinha. This is turning into Francesinha Gate, possibly here. Will Thompson had one in 2017 and hasn't really needed to eat much ever since. That's true. Eat them over a period of weeks and piece it together is another piece of advice. And also,
that's not a challenge.
Here is, we'll come to a challenge in a moment. I've got a lovely question for you. And Safira, the Portuguese man, resident Portuguese person, who cannot confirm or deny that there aren't any missing French people in the sandwich. So the mystery is hanging in the air there. Remember where you heard it first.
What a weird humor.
Thanks from Eric. For the insight there, Josh. Thanks from MB for the answer to MB's question as well. I've got a lovely question here. Maybe we finish off this, because I guess, you guys work so hard, I know, doing your YouTubes, as well as having an amazing life here in Portugal, and you've got a family life, so I don't want to keep you too long, but maybe the ultimate question here tonight. I'm looking forward to your port wine challenge. You may have noticed I've already started sipping mine of this evening. Tell us about the port wine. Tell us about the port wine challenge. What's that all about? From Raul here.
I would say we've already done that challenge before.
Yeah.
Just not on camera.
That's very honest.
The best was when my dad came to visit us in Spain. I said, you've got to check out Porto. So I brought him over to Porto, and we went to the first port wine tour, and he was like, where do we pay? And I was like, no, it's free. Like, these are just these samples. Like, these are just tasters. It's all good. And then he's like, wait, these are free? I said, yeah, these are free. And he says, can we go to another one? I said, yeah, absolutely. He's like, how many more are there? And I said, Dad, more than you can drink. And he said, challenge accepted. And I was carrying him down the hill. I was carrying him down Gaia.
With all the British people as well, I'm sure. Victoria says, genius, thank you. While you were out there, Kalie, Victoria was saying hi to you both. Yes, she says, I was living in Spain, and when I came back to the US and bought groceries, I was in a state of shock. And finally, then, a request from Ree. You may have done this already, of course. It's hard to keep up with your prolific output, but definitely do a shopping video and tell us about prices in pet food and also vet care. Is that possible as a request?
Yeah. We're all the stuff we're planning. It's literally just, the dog's driving me crazy. Sorry. It's literally just the amount of time that it takes to do these videos and put them together, plus having to kind of work around Valencia's schedule too. Because sometimes she'll just crash out on us, and it's like, well, shoot, we got to go home, or it's tough. But we have all that stuff planned, because really our channel's a bit different in that we want to show people real life and not just all of the fun and exciting and viral bits of a place. So it's beyond just tourism, but real life. And we're planning on taking people to 3 different grocery stores. at different kind of price points, if you will.
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
definitely have that on the plan. Yeah.
Grocery shopping, and then when Pincho goes for his annual jabs, that might make a video as well. Or if he goes to the
it's coming up. It's coming up next week.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. And then Pincho's visit to the stud farm, because he's a good-looking fella. Presumably, people want him to be a breeding partner as well.
Those days are long gone.
Oh, okay. He might want privacy anyway for that. Great show tonight. Heading over to to subscribe to your channel now, says Eric. So at least
look forward to seeing you over there.
Got you one more subscriber tonight. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. I mean, normally I'm asking expats, do they think it was a good idea to move to Portugal? Clearly, we can see that it's working for you two, right?
Love it. Absolutely love it.
We do love it and would recommend it for sure.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to helping as many people out there that want to do it. One of us is in the comment section, and we're answering nearly everybody's comments. If you have a comment about our video, if it's positive or it's a question, we'll get at it. If it's negative, we just have to ignore the haters and keep moving forward.
Yeah, you can email us as well. We do get a lot of emails though, so just have to be patient with responding to those, because those tend to be pretty long. But the big thing too is we have a Patreon page. So if you become a patron, then you have quicker access to us, and those are obviously our top priorities. So if you ask questions on there or you join that community, then you can definitely get to us quicker.
And that would be Expats Everywhere on Patreon, would it? Because I need to put that on the screen so people can find that if they want to do that. You're using the same name?
Yeah. So it's I think it's patreon.com/expats everywhere is how you can find us. But yeah, it's Expats Everywhere on Patreon.
Okay. I want to share these thanks with you just before you go. Thanks from Arthur Rebello. You might be related to Marcelo. I love Josh and Kalie on the YouTube channel. Great show. Do you use markets too? We can't go into that now, Fiona, but keep watching their channel. I'm sure they'll take you to the market one day. And from Sandra, obrigado a todos. Guys, thank you so much for being. Really appreciate it. Lovely to meet you both, and all the best in your future endeavors and your life in Portugal, and you and your lovely family.
Thank you so much, Carl. It's been an honor to be on your show. It's a lot of fun. You do an awesome job. Super great questions. Love this.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward to having a port and maybe a Francesinha with you one day in Porto. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
All right. And thanks everyone else. Superb attendance tonight. Thank you for all your questions. Lovely to see you. See you tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening as well for our webinar where we're looking at Portuguese Christmas and of course the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club from just after 9 o'clock on these same channels as well tomorrow evening. Boa noite. Ciao, ciao. Abraços, beijinhos. Até logo.